location outside of his base. Let's see if that happens, though, as we hop into Belshir Vestige, or Fat Ohana, as I like to call it, for game number 1 of this best of 9 ESET UK Masters Showdown. Spotting here in the top left position as the blue Zerg player, representing Western Wolves, it is none other than Sortof. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner as the red Terran player, currently playing for Team Awesome Gaming. Are we going to see a similarly awesome strategy out from him this game? It is Fuzer.
Now, I've got to call you up on something, Joris. Every time we spawn on this map, you call it Fat Ahana. Do you really want to give Belshir an eating disorder? Like, that's just horrible. Be nicer, don't worry. I like you, Belshir.
You say, like, what, Belshir Vestige, what? Well, it goes on a diet and becomes Ohana. Like, nothing bad can happen to it. It's alright, man.
I know, I way prefer Belshir to Ohana. Much nicer personality.
See, I'm still used to, when someone just says Belshir, I'm still used to Belshir Beach.
Yeah,
like, that's actually what I hear when someone just says Belshir. But one thing to point out in this game so far is that Fuzer went for the gas first. So we're not going to see... we're certainly not going to see a gasless aggressive play coming out of him. We could be seeing very quick Reapers make their way onto the field. Or, the alternative, of course, is as soon as that barracks finishes, he'll have almost exactly 100 gas. He might be able to go straight into the factory.
Now, those are two very good options, so we'll wait to see what happens. But Sortof, he's doing everything that he would like. He's getting down a 15 hatch. He'll then get a nice little 16 pull. So everything going by the textbook. And of course, this is the first thing you learn as a Zerg player against Terran, is that you go 15 hatch, 16 pull. And you never, ever, ever variate from that opening, because it works against everything. Until
an 888 possibly destroys you. But hey, you know, we all have days like that. As we get the first Reaper now coming out from Fuzer, it is on a straight path to his opponent's base right now, not waiting at all, going straight into the natural. The Overlord did take a slightly circuitous route and is not currently moving further towards the Terran base, which means the first sort of hears of this Reaper will be when it starts smacking a drone or two.
Now, of course, Reapers don't really hit that hard, but the second Reaper is already on its way out, so Fuzer is committing to more than just a single one. He needs to therefore deal some damage, and therefore this could be pretty exciting. Belshir has some cliff area you can utilize, but it's no Star Station or Cloud Kingdom. But this bunker is what's going to make the big difference. If that bunker is allowed to complete, it becomes a lot harder to deal with this aggression, because the Reaper can hide in there and engage very cost effectively against everything.
And we can see a second Reaper now making its way across the map, immediately going for that factory as well. As the barracks goes to the wall off, we're going to be seeing Reactor go down there too. So he's not committing to additional aggression here. He's just going to limit this to 2 Reapers and see how much damage and mining time he can deny.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You keep your opponent just sitting back, being like, I've got to deal with this bunker at some point, and that point is going to be now sort of running in with those Zerglings, wants to make sure that the SCV can't get into repair, but ultimately the salvage does not get completed, meaning that that's 100 resources down. The 2 Reapers are alive though, but the Queens are pushing them all the way back.
And bear in mind as well that the other thing Fuzer was able to accomplish with that attack was he forced a decent amount of lings. There were still 7 on the field for Sortof after he lost a couple during that attack, and ideally those would have wanted to be drones. So not all is lost here. It's great that he's kept the Reapers alive. A Hellion is actually going to make its way to try and reinforce.
Now, this Hellion really does add quite a bit into this, because suddenly the Zerglings don't have such an easy time, and that means that it's all down to the Queens, which take quite a bit of fire, actually, from all of those Reapers, but sort of already up to 4 Queens. He can really start zoning out the Reapers and Hellions, trying to get some more creep spread. And as we see behind this, Fuzer, he's just taking his expansion. He's getting down a Banshee most likely now, but he is supply block, which is delaying that quite substantially. He hasn't actually started another... Oh, no. He hasn't.
No, it's because he's waiting for the command center to finish, and there we go. Yeah, but yeah, it's always a little bit of a tense moment when you see a mule being dropped as someone is supply blocked. But Fuzer had that timed out so that the command center would finish very shortly afterwards, which is why he didn't have a supply depot started. And 1 Reaper goes down there to those Queens.
Now, these Reapers are just still containing Sortof. It's stopping him taking a third and really forcing quite a few units out. And if we look at the worker count, it's 26 to 28. This Banshee is something that could catch you off guard. Suddenly there's some Speedlings trying to take out some Hellions at the third, running around the back of these minerals, but they are unfortunately all going to die. But a good read for Fuzer, seeing that this is the third base timing.
Yeah, and oh, that last Hellion actually doing quite a bit of damage, able to pick apart all of those Lings there. So that much at least was useful for him. He's actually up to 48 supply versus 49 right now. So a relatively close game in terms of supply at this moment on. And 31 to 30 in the worker count as well. Fuzer just forcing Zerglings. Look, 18 of them on the way at the moment because Sortof knows Fuzer's going to try and put some non-stop aggression in. And with the Banshee to support this as well, he's going to have a hard time just finding time to drone up.
And this time to drone up is so important. The Banshee, though, really going to help against these Queens. And really, with the Hellions there, keeping back the Zerglings, this third base is going to get picked apart. And as more Hellions come in, as obviously we get more units across the side of the map, these Hellions are going to be able to engage so much better against the Zerglings. The Banshee is very low on health.
Counterattack in the natural expansion, though, and we see some Lings killing off the SCV that was building the third base. Also, one in the middle, and looking like it's going to be able to get an SCV or two as well. Sortof getting a grand total of 5 workers killed there. So while Fuzer was busy microing against those Queens, wouldn't it be amazing if you could macro against Queens? He was being attacked back at home, so his attention a little bit split.
And that counterattack was really nice, and round 2 of it is actually on its way as well for Sortof, sending more Zerglings in. The natural wall-off is now complete, but only with some supply depots still building. The Hellions trying to come back, they do get surrounded though. Luckily there's a lot more reinforcing, it means that the Zerglings shouldn't be too successful, but ultimately this is a lot of minerals getting thrown at a wall, and that's all that Sortof's really achieving with it, is losing some money.
One thing to take from this, though, is that I actually think it's a good idea from Sortof to try this kind of stuff, because when you have Hellions and the Banshee hanging around outside your base, you're trying to defend against it, but really, you defend against it when the Terran chooses to push in, right? It's not like you're pushing out against Hellions with Zerglings. That might not be very good at all. In fact, it's usually just quite terrible. So what you do instead is you try and go for some sort of counterattack. Since if you know your opponent's camping out outside your third, you may as well give it a shot. And that's what he did with that first push there.
Yeah, he gave it a good shot, and if we actually look yet again at the worker count, we can see that ultimately there's only a 14 worker advantage for Sortof compared to Fuzer. 2 mules though, that really levels things out. There's also the third orbital command recently finished. This is all massively helping Fuzer stay economically in this game. The Spire that's out for Sortof is only just getting the first few Mutalisks out, which will hard counter the Banshee, shutting that down. 1-1 upgrades also clicking in. That's going to give another advantage to Sortof, but Fuzer, I don't really feel he's in much problems.
He's going for 2 more factories and a double armory as well, so he could be swapping into Hellbat base play moving into the later game here, getting another factory down too. I feel like this might have been a little bit earlier as the Mutalisks now come out. There are 2 Marines with this army versus 4 Mutalisks, and the rest are Hellions and Banshees, neither of which do particularly well against the flying rats that Sortof has being sent his way.
That single Viking, the Banshee desperately running towards it, being like, help me, bro. And the Viking
no
like,
way,
no,
man.
No way. I am
You're
not taking that
own.
fight. And for that reason, the cowardly Viking does survive, which is always good. His pal who landed in front of an Ultralisk never did though, so bad times. And all the Viking pilots learned from that day.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough choice. Either you land against an Ultralisk or you go up against 5 Mutas. Not a great choice you want to have to make. Mutas now going into the natural expansion before the turret can actually go up. The SCVs trying to repair the, surround the turret rather, so that one can build it, but the Mutas immediately targeting down the turret, and this is doing a tremendous amount of damage. In the meantime, we have some Hellions moving by the 4th base, but there's nothing they can do. The Hellions would take forever to take that apart, and all of a sudden these Mutas are doing ridiculous amounts of damage. A single Thor here should be able to take them out because there are lots of SCVs
repair
to
the
repair. Dude.
SCVs, come back, SCVs. Okay, SCVs. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but repairing that Thor would stop you all dying now.
Yeah, you that was very much a you had one job kind of situation there. And now these Mutas are doing so much damage, it's getting ridiculous. Fuzer down to 70 supply versus the 112 of Sortof. The working supply is currently 63 to 39, and that